Picture this: a World Cup winner, a player worth 105 million euros, a superstar who had everything. Now banned from football, broke, and watching his entire life crumble before his eyes. This isn't some cautionary tale from decades ago. This is happening right now. Paul Pogba went from lifting the World Cup trophy in Moscow to being suspended for doping. And the story of how he got here is absolutely insane. We're talking about extortion, witchcraft, family betrayal, and a fall from grace so spectacular that even his worst critics couldn't have predicted it. And the craziest part, he's only 32 years old, and his career is already over. But before I tell you how one of football's brightest stars became its biggest tragedy, let me take you back to when Paul Pogba was untouchable, when he was the most expensive player in Premier League history, when he was dancing at Old Trafford, scoring bangers from 30 yards out and making defenders look like training cones. Because to understand how far he's fallen, you need to understand just how high he flew. Paul Pogba was born on March 15, 1993, in Lagny-sur-Marne, a suburb east of Paris. His parents had emigrated from Guinea, and life wasn't easy. His father, Fassou Antoine, worked multiple jobs to support the family, while his mother, Yu Mariba, raised Paul and his two older brothers, Florentin and Matthias. All three brothers were obsessed with football, but from the beginning, it was clear that Paul was different. He had something special. While his brothers were good players, Paul was extraordinary. By the time he was 6 years old, local coaches were already talking about him as a future professional. At just 13 years old, Paul joined Le Havre's academy, one of the best youth setups in France. And this is where the Pogba we know today was born. Not just the player, but the personality. Even as a teenager, Pogba was different. He'd show up to training with new haircuts every week. He'd dance in the dressing room. He'd pull off tricks and flicks that had no business being attempted in a youth match. Some coaches loved it. They saw a kid expressing himself, enjoying football. Others hated it. They thought he was showboating, not taking things seriously. But nobody could deny his talent. Here's something crazy though. In 2009, when Pogba was just 16, Manchester United basically kidnapped him from Le Havre. Okay, not literally kidnapped, but they convinced him to leave France and join their academy. And Le Havre were furious. They claimed United had tapped him up illegally, that they'd offered his family money and benefits that broke FIFA regulations. There was a massive investigation, threats of lawsuits, the whole thing was a mess. But Pogba ended up at United anyway, and that's when Sir Alex Ferguson entered the picture. Now, Ferguson saw something in Pogba immediately. The talent was obvious, but there was something else too. Pogba had that rare combination of physical power and technical ability. He was 6 feet 3 inches, built like a heavyweight boxer, but he could play one-touch football like a Spanish midfielder. Ferguson fast-tracked him through the youth teams, and by 2011, Pogba was training with the first team. This kid from the Paris suburbs was training alongside Wayne Rooney, Ryan Giggs, and Paul Scholes. He'd made it, but then came the moment that would define the next decade of Pogba's career. In 2012, Ferguson offered him a new contract. The money was good, not great, but good. Ferguson told him to be patient, that his time would come. But Pogba's agent, a man named Mino Raiola, who would become one of the most important figures in this story, told him to leave. Raiola convinced Pogba that Ferguson didn't really believe in him, that he'd never get the playing time he deserved at United. And in one of the most controversial moves in football history, Pogba left Manchester United on a free transfer to join Juventus. Ferguson was furious, absolutely furious. He later said that Pogba showed no respect, that he thought he was bigger than the club. But here's the thing, and this is important, Pogba was right to leave, because what happened next at Juventus was incredible. In Turin, Pogba exploded. Playing alongside Andrea Pirlo and Arturo Vidal, he became one of the best midfielders in the world. He won 4 consecutive Serie A titles, reached a Champions League final, and was scoring goals that had no business being scored. Long-range screamers, delicate chips, headers from corners. Pogba could do it all. He was unstoppable, and the world was watching. Real Madrid wanted him, Barcelona wanted him, PSG wanted him. But in 2016, Manchester United came calling again, and this time, they weren't taking no for an answer. United paid 105 million euros to bring Pogba back. 105 million. It was a world record fee at the time. The boy who'd left for nothing was coming back as the most expensive player in football history. Old Trafford went crazy. Pogba was back, and United were going to dominate again. The marketing campaign was insane. They had Stormzy doing a music video, Pogba dabbing in the promotional shots, #Pogback trending worldwide. It was supposed to be the start of a new era, but it wasn't. And this is where Pogba's story starts to get dark. Really dark. The pressure at United was different this time. When you cost 105 million euros, you can't just be good. You have to be spectacular every single game. And Pogba struggled with that. Some games, he'd look like the best player in the world, pinging 60-yard passes, scoring from outside the box, running the entire match. Other games, he'd disappear completely, look disinterested, jog around like he didn't care. The inconsistency drove United fans crazy. They'd paid all this money for a superstar, and half the time they were getting someone who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. And then there was Jose Mourinho. When Mourinho became United's manager, everyone thought it would be perfect. Mourinho loved big personalities, loved players with swagger. But him and Pogba, they hated each other. Mourinho would criticize Pogba in press conferences, question his attitude, his commitment. He stripped him of the vice-captaincy in front of the entire team. There's actually footage of them having an argument at training, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Pogba would post on Instagram after losses, dancing and laughing, and Mourinho would lose his mind. It was toxic, completely toxic. But while all this drama was happening at United, something beautiful was happening with France. At the 2018 World Cup in Russia, Pogba was magnificent. He scored in the final against Croatia, controlled the midfield like he owned it, and lifted the trophy at just 25 years old. This was the Pogba everyone expected: confident, dominant, world-class. For a few weeks in Russia, all the criticism, all the doubts, they disappeared. Paul Pogba was a World Cup winner, and nobody could take that away from him. But if you're watching this and thinking, okay, so he had some issues at United, but he won the World Cup, things can't be that bad, well, buckle up. Because what happened next is where this story goes from disappointing to absolutely tragic. Actually, before we dive into the absolute madness that's about to unfold, if you're enjoying this deep dive into one of football's most shocking downfalls, hit that subscribe button right now. We're uncovering the stories that nobody else is talking about, the real truth behind football's biggest controversies. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Subscribe now, because what I'm about to tell you about Pogba's life off the pitch is going to blow your mind. So while Pogba was struggling at United, something sinister was happening behind the scenes. In 2022, Pogba revealed that he'd been the victim of an extortion plot, and not by strangers, but by his own brother, Matthias, and his childhood friends. They demanded 13 million euros from him, threatened him with guns, and claimed they had dirt on him that would destroy his career. 13 million euros from his own brother. The story is absolutely insane. Apparently, Pogba's childhood friends felt like he'd abandoned them when he became rich and famous. They thought he owed them, that he should be giving them money, buying them houses, cars, whatever they wanted. When Pogba started saying no, setting boundaries, they turned on him. They lured him to an apartment in Paris, and when he got there, two hooded men were waiting with assault rifles. They told him he had to pay up or they'd release videos that would end his career. Pogba was so scared he actually paid them 100,000 euros on the spot just to get out of there alive. But here's where it gets even crazier. Matthias, his own brother, went public with the allegations. He posted videos on social media claiming that Paul had hired a witch doctor to curse Kylian Mbappé. A witch doctor to curse his own international teammate. Matthias said Paul was jealous of Mbappé's success, that he wanted to be the main man for France, so he paid a marabout, which is like an African spiritual advisor, to put a curse on Mbappé. The French media went absolutely mental. It was front-page news everywhere. Paul Pogba, World Cup winner, accused of witchcraft. Now, Pogba admitted he did pay a marabout, but not to curse anyone. He said it was for protection, that he was scared after the extortion threats and wanted spiritual protection for his family. Whether you believe in that stuff or not, the damage was done. His reputation was in tatters. His own brother had turned against him. His childhood friends wanted to destroy him, and the whole world was laughing at him. The dancing, fun-loving Pogba was gone. He looked broken. Meanwhile, at United, things had gone from bad to worse. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had replaced Mourinho, and for a while, it looked like Pogba was happy again. He was playing well, scoring goals, creating assists. But then, the injuries started. Ankle injuries, hamstring injuries, muscle problems. Pogba would be out for weeks, come back for a game or two, then get injured again. United fans were losing patience. They were paying him £290,000 a week to sit in the treatment room. Some fans even celebrated when he got injured. That's how bad the relationship had become. In 2022, Pogba's contract at United expired, and he left on a free transfer. Again, the second time he'd walked away from Old Trafford for nothing. But this time, there was no fanfare, no anger from the club. They were just glad to see him go. 6 years, 105 million euros. And what did United have to show for it? A Europa League trophy and a League Cup. That's it. The Pogba experiment had been a complete disaster, so Pogba went back to Juventus. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a return to where he'd been happiest. The Juventus fans welcomed him back like a hero. They remembered the old Pogba, The one who dominated Serie A, who scored wonder goals, who danced after victories. They thought they were getting that player back. They were wrong. Dead wrong. Pogba's second stint at Juventus was a nightmare from day one. He arrived injured and needed surgery immediately. He missed the entire first half of the season. When he finally came back, he looked like a shadow of his former self. Slow, sluggish, disinterested. The Juventus fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. This wasn't the Pogba they remembered. This was someone else entirely. And then, in August 2023, the news broke that would end Paul Pogba's career. After a Serie A match against Udinese, Pogba was randomly selected for a drug test. A few weeks later, the results came back. He'd tested positive for DHEA, a banned substance that can increase testosterone levels. Pogba was immediately suspended from all football activities. The B sample was tested, hoping it was a mistake. It wasn't. The results were confirmed. Paul Pogba had failed a drugs test. The football world was in shock. A World Cup winner, one of the most famous players on the planet, caught doping. Pogba claimed it was a mistake, that he'd taken a supplement prescribed by a doctor in the United States, that he didn't know it contained banned substances. But ignorance isn't an excuse in anti-doping rules. If it's in your system, you're guilty. End of story. In February 2024, the verdict came down. Paul Pogba was banned from football for 4 years. 4 years. His career was over. By the time the ban ends in 2028, he'll be 35 years old. No top club is going to sign a 35-year-old who hasn't played football in 4 years. It's done. Finished. The boy from Lagny-sur-Marne who conquered the world is now forbidden from even training with a professional team. But wait, it gets worse. Because while all this was happening, Pogba's personal life was falling apart too. His wife, Maria Zulay Salawis, has reportedly been considering divorce. The stress of the extortion case, the doping ban, the public humiliation, it's all been too much. Pogba's fortune, estimated at around 85 million euros, is being drained by legal fees, settlements, and bad investments. He's had to sell properties, cars, jewelry, the lifestyle he once flaunted on Instagram, the private jets, the designer clothes, the luxury holidays, it's all gone. And his relationship with his family, destroyed. Matthias was sentenced to 3 years in prison for his role in the extortion plot, though he's serving most of it under house arrest. The brothers who grew up playing football in the streets of Paris together now don't even speak. Their mother, Yeo, is heartbroken. She's watched her sons tear each other apart over money and jealousy. The Pogba family, once so close, so united, is in ruins. The saddest part of all this, Pogba is only 31 years old. 31. That's supposed to be the prime years for a midfielder. Look at Luka Modric, still bossing games at 39. Look at Kevin De Bruyne, getting better with age. Pogba should be at his peak right now, controlling games, winning trophies. Instead, he's sitting at home, banned from the sport he loves, watching his former teammates on TV. There's been talk of an appeal, of reducing the ban to 18 months or 2 years. Pogba's lawyers are fighting it, claiming the punishment is too harsh, that it was an honest mistake. But even if they succeed, even if the ban is reduced, the damage is done. Pogba's reputation is destroyed. Which club is going to take a chance on a player who's been banned for doping, who hasn't played in years, who has a history of injuries and inconsistency? The answer is none. No top club will touch him. You know what the really messed up part is? Pogba had all the talent in the world. When he was on form, he was unplayable. The combination of power, technique, and vision he possessed was rare, generational even. He could pick a pass that nobody else could see, score goals that nobody else could score. On his day, Paul Pogba was one of the best midfielders on the planet, but those days were too few and far between. The inconsistency, the injuries, the off-field drama, it all added up. The talent was there, but everything else was missing. And maybe that's the real tragedy of Paul Pogba. Not that he failed, but that he never really got the chance to succeed. From the moment he returned to United, the pressure was unbearable. Every bad game was scrutinized, every social media post analyzed, every haircut criticized. He was expected to single-handedly transform United back into champions, to justify that massive price tag every single match. That's an impossible standard for anyone to meet. The extortion plot, the family betrayal, that would break anyone. Imagine your own brother, someone you grew up with, shared everything with, trying to destroy your life for money. Imagine your childhood friends, the people you trusted most, pointing guns at you and demanding millions. The psychological damage from that is immeasurable. How do you trust anyone after that? How do you focus on football when you're constantly looking over your shoulder? And the doping ban. Look, I'm not making excuses for him. The rules are the rules. But 4 years seems excessive for what was likely an honest mistake. Pogba's not a cheat. He's not someone who was deliberately trying to gain an unfair advantage. He took a supplement, didn't check the ingredients properly, and now his career is over. It's harsh, really harsh. But here's what really gets me about Pogba's story. He represents everything that's wrong with modern football: the obsession with price tags, the social media circus, the constant drama. Pogba became more famous for his haircuts and his Instagram posts than his actual football. He became a brand, a marketing tool rather than a player. And when the football didn't match the hype, when he couldn't live up to that impossible standard, everyone turned on him. The same fans who were singing his name when he scored a screamer were calling him a virus when he had a bad game. The same media who praised his personality were calling him immature and uncommitted. The same club that spent 105 million euros on him couldn't wait to get rid of him. It's brutal and it's unfair, but that's modern football. You're only as good as your last game, and Pogba had too many bad last games. So what's next for Paul Pogba? Well, here's where this story takes an unexpected turn. Remember when I said his career was over? That 4-year ban that was supposed to end everything? On October 7, 2024, the Court of Arbitration for Sport dropped a bombshell. They reduced Pogba's ban from 4 years to just 18 months, backdated to September 11, 2023. That means Pogba was eligible to play again in March 2025. Just like that, the death sentence became a second chance. And Pogba didn't waste any time. He signed a 2-year deal with AS Monaco ahead of the 2025-26 season. Monaco, one of League One's most ambitious clubs, the place where Kylian Mbappé announced himself to the world. After Juventus cut him loose in late 2024, most people thought no decent club would touch him. But Monaco saw something. Maybe it was desperation, maybe it was belief, or maybe they just thought, what have we got to lose? Either way, Paul Pogba is back in professional football, but here's the thing, and this is crucial. He hasn't kicked a ball competitively since September 2023. That's over 2 years without playing a real match. 2 years. Think about that for a second. The game has evolved, his body has aged, and he's been sitting at home while everyone else has been playing. As I'm talking to you right now in November 2025, Pogba still hasn't made his competitive debut for Monaco. He's training, he's working on his fitness, but he's not ready yet. The club is being patient, giving him time to get back to something resembling match fitness. But will he ever get there? That's the million-dollar question. And get this, Pogba's actually talking about returning to the French national team. The French national team. The man who was banned for doping, who hasn't played in 2 years, thinks he can get back into one of the most stacked midfields in world football. He's admitted it's going to take time, that it's just a goal for now. But the fact he's even thinking about it shows you something about Paul Pogba. The confidence, or maybe it's delusion, is still there. After everything that's happened, after all the humiliation and heartbreak, he still believes he can play at the highest level. But let's be real here. The Paul Pogba who dominated at Juventus the first time, who won the World Cup, who scored those incredible goals, that player is gone forever. What Monaco are getting is a 32-year-old midfielder who hasn't played competitive football in over 2 years, who's coming off a doping ban, who's been through mental and emotional trauma that would break most people. Even if he gets fit, even if he makes it onto the pitch, he'll be a shadow of his former self. The pace will be gone, the sharpness won't be there, and the confidence that made him special. That died somewhere between the extortion plot and the positive drug test. Before we wrap this up, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What do you think about Pogba's comeback attempt? Can he actually make it work at Monaco, or is this just delaying the inevitable? Was it the pressure, the injuries, the off-field drama, or was he just never as good as we thought he was? Let me know your thoughts. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. We're bringing you the real stories, the ones that go deeper than just the headlines. Hit that notification bell because, trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. These stories need to be told, and we're the ones telling them. Paul Pogba's story is a tragedy in every sense of the word, but maybe, just maybe, it's not over yet. A player with unlimited potential who never reached it, but who's somehow getting one last chance. A World Cup winner who became a cautionary tale, but who refuses to accept that the story's finished. A superstar who lost everything, but who's trying to claw something back. From the streets of Paris to the top of world football, down to nothing, and now attempting one final climb. It's heartbreaking, it's frustrating, but there's something admirable about the refusal to quit. But maybe there's a lesson in all of this. Maybe Pogba's story can serve as a warning to the next generation. That talent alone isn't enough. That the pressure of modern football can destroy you if you're not careful. That the people closest to you can become your biggest enemies when money's involved. That one mistake, one bad decision can end everything you've worked for. But also, maybe that it's never truly over until you decide it is. Paul Pogba will be remembered as one of football's great what-ifs. What if he'd stayed at United the first time? What if he'd never gotten injured? What if his family hadn't betrayed him? What if he'd been more consistent? What if? But now there's one more what if to add to the list. What if this Monaco move actually works? What if he proves everyone wrong one last time? It's unlikely, probably impossible, but that's what makes it fascinating. The reality is that Paul Pogba, at 32 years old, is trying to write a final chapter that nobody saw coming. Whether it's a redemption story or just another disappointment remains to be seen. His reputation is damaged, his legacy is complicated, but he's still fighting. The boy who danced his way into our hearts is trying to dance one more time, returning to the game he loved despite everything that's happened, despite the people who betrayed him, despite watching his life fall apart piece by piece. It's not the ending anyone predicted, and honestly, we still don't know how it ends. And that, more than anything, is the ongoing, unfinished, tragic story of Paul Pogba.